Good morning, boys and girls. It's Doug with Tactical Measure. We're going to do something a little bit different today. You're going to notice that the scenery around me is much different than our usual shop walls or shop porch. Much prettier and much more scenic. And that's because of a few different things. We're going to do something a little bit different with our YouTube channel. We're going to start incorporating some of our own hobbies and stuff into the YouTube channel just to spice it up a little bit and give you a little bit more content. The reason behind this is because talking about holsters all the time and just doing holster updates and stuff like that is not very entertaining. It's informative, yes, but we want to be a little bit more entertaining and have a little bit more fun with our YouTube channel. So, hence why we're set in the woods of Central Texas. One of my hobbies is I love bushcrafting. Camping, anything outdoors, I'm in. So Bobby and I were talking and thinking of ways we could spice up our channel, and it seems to us that a lot of people are getting into bushcrafting these days, and they're starting to enjoy the outdoors just a bit more. So we decided to throw our lot in and start doing some bushcrafting stuff on our channel, along with some other things that we plan on doing. We're going to follow D&D Motorsports on some of their Dirt Riot and Ultra 4 races. We're going to do a little bit of rock crawling, a little bit of camping, a little bit of DIY, home repair, stuff like that. Stuff that we enjoy doing to bring back a little bit of fun to our YouTube channel. Which brings us to our video here today. We're going to start off with a relatively simple bushcraft survival, whatever you want to call it, video. And that's our fire making. I've already got a fire prepped over here for this video because today we're going to be talking about char cloth and flint and steel and why I prefer it over just about everything else. Flint and steel, of course, goes back forever and a day on being used. Yes, I do carry a ferro rod, but I'm not very efficient with it, and I will be the first to admit that. Not very good with it. I don't like using it. And for me, if it's wet outside, I'm not going to get a fire started with this thing. So I prefer flint and steel. You know, flint and steel for me, if it's wet outside, I can get a fire going. Yes, it's going to take me a little bit longer than, you know, throwing some paper up under there and using a lighter, but who wants to do that? That's boring. So today we're going to talk about flint and steel kits and char cloth in particular. So let's hop right in and see what we got. The first thing you're going to need in any flint and steel kit is an Altoids tin. It doesn't have to be an Altoids tin. You can get a bunch of, you know, little tins off them online. But the cheapest and easiest and most available thing is this little Altoids tin here. And it'll more than do what you need. Then you need flint. See if I can show that to you there a little bit better. Just a piece of flint. You can buy this stuff online as well. I'm going to move my seat just a little bit so maybe I can show y'all stuff a little bit better. You can buy this stuff online, or if you're fortunate enough to live in a place like I do, you can probably walk just a few feet that way and find a good, nice piece of flint for you. Second, you're going to need a striker. It has to be high carbon steel. Can't be an alloy. Can't be stainless or anything like that. It needs to be high carbon, and it needs to be hard. There's a ton of different companies that make these little strikers. Me personally, I prefer my Convoy SG. You can see that there, and I'll post a link to it in the description below. But there's really nothing fancy about it. I find it pretty, but when it gets down to it, it works, and it works really well. Let me see if I can get it close enough here to strike for you guys so y'all can see it. There you go. Good striker. One thing I forgot to mention about the flint is it has to be almost cutting sharp on the edges for you to get that steel, because what's happening is it's actually peeling off pieces of this high carbon steel and igniting it. See, there we go. So a good sharp piece of flint will do you just fine. Back to the striker, sorry, I get a little sidetracked sometimes. The Convoy SG striker works great for me, and it fits perfectly in my little Altoids tin. I think I got it for 11 bucks on Amazon. Really good company. Customer service is great, all that good stuff, but I mean, it's a striker. This thing will probably last my entire lifetime. I will probably die long before this thing is worn out. So, one and done. The second thing you need is some sort of material to make your char cloth out of. Me, I use crappy all cotton dish towels here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this just so you can't say I told you to do it. I would not go in and steal Mama's Good dish towels. You can find them at Walmart, Dollar Tree, whatever. They're just simple little hand towels. And the reason I use these is because they are all cotton and they hold together better than just regular denim or t-shirt cotton will. Once you've charred them, they kind of hold together a little bit better and they're not quite as brittle. But you'll see what I'm talking about on that here in a minute. So, obviously, you're not going to throw this whole dish towel into a little Altoids tin, so you're going to have to cut it up. What I usually do is I throw it into fourths. And I cut it down into fourths. And then I'll cut those down again, but we're just going to, for the sake of this video, I'm going to rush it just a little bit. Just so y'all have to see me here cutting on a dish rag for a minute or so. Alright, so once we have our dish towel, like I said, I usually cut this down into fourths, but I'm not going to for the purposes of today's video. This is eventually what we're going to end up with. Hold on, I'm trying to get range here. Which is the same material as this, but it's black and obviously charred. So we're going to pull what I've already got out, because I've usually got some, at least enough to start a fire. But I get these things from the Dollar Tree. They're $1 for 4 of them, and I mean, shoot, I am going to have to cut this down a little bit more. But 2 or 3 of those will usually last me a whole year of fires, and I'm out quite often, at least every other week out there in the woods. Sometimes I'm not lighting a fire, but for today, I'm lighting a fire, because on a normal day in Texas during the summer, I would not be lighting a fire. Okay, so we got to cut down a little bit further. We're going to go ahead and place this in our Altoids tin. You know, don't just overfill it to where you have trouble shutting the lid. That's just going to cause you problems. And one thing I forgot to mention with the Altoids tin, a lot of people say you don't need a vent hole in it. But as you can see here in my little Altoids tin right there, there's a hole punched in the top of it. No, this is not an airtight container. Yes, the gases will escape from the lid. But the main reason I use this is it's like a timer. When I put this in the fire here in a minute, I'll be able to show you a little bit more. But gases will escape from this little hole and will eventually light on fire. So it looks like a little match flame, or a little lighter flame coming out of this hole. And when that flame goes out and it stops smoking, that tells you you can pull your tin out and you have char material. So we're going to go ahead and throw this thing in the fire and take a little walk around camp here and show you while we're waiting on this thing to get done. I'll show you some of the warning signs that it's getting done, and then we'll go take a little bit of a walk. So, apologize here, my GoPro is going to be a little shaky for a second because I'm having to hold it. But it doesn't really matter where you put your char tin. Oh, except when that happens. You don't want it to come open. So, as you can see there, we've got our char tin in and it is ready to go. So we're gonna let that go for just a minute. We're not gonna see any warning signs for just a few minutes. So we're gonna go take a walk around camp and I'm gonna show you where I'm at today. As I said earlier, I'm in Lampasas, Texas, right off the Lampasas River, which is a tributary to the Colorado River. So we've got some pretty nice, beautiful creeks around here, creeks and rivers, and I just happen to be camping around one of them. A little bit about this place. This is private property. This is where I bring my family to go swimming at during the summers. We don't like chlorine pools and we don't like people most of the time. So we come out here where it's a little more private, a little more secluded, and a lot more fun for us. So let's see if I can get down here a little bit and show you these, show you this little river. I've been swimming in these waters since I was, you know, old enough to walk. So here we are. Down there, past that little fallen branch, which I've got to clear out this weekend, is our little swimming hole. It doesn't look that deep, but it's about chest high. Nothing fancy, nothing too extremely deep. We do have young children that come with us. And all the way down. It's a very lovely little place. Pretty heavily wooded right here, so it's great shade in the summer. But of course, if we go up just a little ways, which I'm going to show you here in just a second, it's going to open up into a big, nice field and up into some hills. So let's go take that walk just real quick before we get back to our char cloth. So as you can see out here, it's pretty wooded. And up that way, I don't know if you can see it, I'm not going to walk all the way up there, is a nice open field, but we're kind of down in the wooded area. So, alright, perfect. We've come back to our char tin on fire. As you can see right there, let me zoom in just a bit. See the fire coming out of the hole on that tin. As soon as that fire goes out and starts smoking, we can pull this sucker out. So I'm going to apologize in advance for the shoddy camera work. I'm working with new equipment and I haven't quite figured it out yet. So bear with me there for just a moment. Let me get everything set kind of halfway back up so we can talk about this a little bit more. I've gone over with you a little bit on why I like char cloth over some of the other options. And to me, it's just reliable. You can use anything for char material as long as, well, you can, I say you can use anything, that's a lie. But you can use a lot of stuff out here and it is a renewable resource. You don't have to have dishcloth in order to do it. Seeing as how we are around a river and we are around a nice wooded area, we can and do use wood as a renewable material. But hang tight, we'll come back to that here in just a second. Our char cloth is done. So before we continue our talk here, you'll notice I've put the tin on the ground, hole down. Now there's a very good reason for that. That char cloth can and will reignite if exposed to oxygen too much. So we put that tin down with the hole facing the ground so it doesn't reignite. We're going to let it sit and cool for just a minute, and then while we finish this conversation, then we'll go back and check it and see how it came out. So like I was saying, a lot of fallen trees down here, a lot of fallen logs. And I know you've all seen it, but when you walk up to a log and it's real brittle and you can just reach in there and peel it out with your fingers where it's kind of decaying, you can use that as char material, and we call it punkwood. Almost the exact same process making it is the exact same process making it, but striking it's a little bit different. It is a little bit more brittle and a little bit harder to hold, so instead of taking your char cloth out and striking it over your flint like I'm going to show you here in just a minute, you just strike your flint over the container and pull out the piece that catches. So other than that, there's really no difference, and it's a renewable resource that you can actually use out here in the field. And it's a wonderful material. It's kind of fun to, it's kind of fun to learn. It's not hard. It does take a little bit of practice with the striker. Sorry, I'm gonna grab a drink of water here real quick. It's kind of warm out. And especially if you're trying to get a young child into bushcrafting, into camping, stuff like that. My stepdaughter, Autumn, absolutely loves playing with a flint and striker. When we go out and light fires in the backyard or whatnot, she thinks it's just the coolest thing in the world, and it will hold her attention for quite some time. So, another little perk of the job. I'm sure teaching a kid to use a ferro rod would be just as entertaining. But like I said, I can't really use one very well. I can if I have to, but I prefer not to. So let's go over here and check our char cloth. So I'm probably pretty tired of hearing me ramble. Okay, our char tin, after just maybe 2 minutes, is already cool enough to handle. Yes, it's still warm, but no, it's not burning hot. So, this is what we got. Nice, crispy, but still firm char material. So, what I will do now is take a piece off and strike it for you, just so y'all can see what to kind of expect and what it will look like. Normally it doesn't take more than a couple of strikes. This stuff catches super easy. And we'll do another video later talking about bird's nest and how to properly set up your bird's nest, but right now we're just going to talk about the char cloth. So I just pin between my flint and my thumb and start striking. Oh, nope, didn't get it. Of course, I'm not going to be able to get it because y'all are watching. Oh, there we go. All it takes is one little bitty spark. You can see there. You place that into your bird's nest, blow it to life, and you're done. Easy peasy, guys. Really fun little skill to have and play with. Just for kind of shits and giggles, or if you're out here, if you're a serious bushcrafter, or whatever. It's just a fun skill to learn. So, if you like the video, give us a like, share, maybe drop us a comment, see if there's anything you would like to see on the channel. I guess that'll be all for now. This is Doug with Tactical Measure, signing off, guys. Y'all have a good one.